I figured today I'd try to get these trunnions installed. I got all these cleaned up. I put them in that dip, makes them look almost new. And there weren't really any instructions with this kit. Unless it's underneath here. No, there ain't nothing in there. No real instructions with this. And again, these are like, you know, there's no brand name to these. These aren't, you know, the big brand names. These are just something I got off of Amazon. This kit was like 80 bucks or so. So it came with these two washers here. So that gave me a clue that, you know, there's some sort of a tool, and they fit right over the edge of the, you know, the trunnion itself here. So here's one of the new trunnions. These washers they gave me fit right over that. It's a little slightly loose. Anyway, the idea that I'm guessing they intended these for was when you're pressing, you know, the bearings on these guys, you can only go flush with it, so you don't push it past crushing the trunnion, so it won't move. Because there's no, like, this surface here next to, it feels like Mentos. That's what this reminds me of. On this surface, there's no bearing surface between these, you know what I mean? This is just a Torrington bearing for moving this way, not, you know. So if you squash these too close, you know, if you press these in too much, I'm imagining it'll seize it up, you know, it'll cause friction in there. So there is a little bit of wiggle room in this back and forth. I don't know if you can hear that. It's not much, but you know. So what I did was, this is actually a vise for doing like gunsmithing work. I had put this in here with these. I used the socket. This socket goes over this. This can fit inside that. And then these are actually spacers for a chain ring for a bicycle around the crank. And they're a little big, but they go over this, and they here's the bearing. They fit the bearing sort of snug. It's a little, oh no, that's what I was doing. I was putting this on and then putting this on. That would give me my clearance. So you do that on either side. The problem I was having in this thing, this would be against it, and then I would lose, you know, how much that sticks out. I would lose to where when I tried to, you know, tighten this down, and I'm just doing this by hand, not a, you know, a power tool or nothing. It's just the Allen bolt that, you know, this is like the anvil or the vise, whatever you call it. Anyway, I had to have some kind of a relief there, so this was held off. So anyway, that's why I was using these spacers from the bicycle to stand that off. So this is a huge pain in the butt process. I'm not so sure like an upright vise or shop press I would want to use this, because you can put too much pressure on this. This is just like a tin housing that holds these bearings. You can put too much pressure, crush this, and you wouldn't realize it till after it was done. It's not like they gave you any extra bearings. You know, they give you just enough to do the job. So I'm just doing it with this for now. You see how many I got to do. I got one done, which I lost the bolt already. Here it is. Here's the bolt. So I got one done. I'm going to get to doing the rest of these. I'm not really going to show how I'm doing this, unless I figure, like, once I master my little process here and I can do it quickly, I might record me just doing one of them. But that's what I'm doing here. So I got my two spacers over here to allow the shaft to come out that way, and this one I've got one just to kind of center this, and that should press the two bearings in. You know, I got my socket here, and this is just a block to space this, so I don't have to crank it in all the way. Plus, this will go inside of this. This is a socket. I don't know what size it is, but, you know, nobody's going to use this particular setup anyways. This is some random stuff I had in the garage. But that should do it. I'm going to take it loose, and we're going to see if this has any play in here. These are up against it, so I can't imagine the way they wanted me to do this. They wanted me to push the bearings in any further. So there it is. You can hear Not much play in there. Let's check this one again. This was my first one. I think this one has a little bit more. I might go and try to squeeze this one a little bit. That's it. Now we take these. This reminds me of that monkey in a barrel game when you were a kid. They're all hung together. And you take this tool here, snap ring pliers. That's it. That's a done one. So that's my second one here. So these bearings, these are Torrington bearings. One side's rounded, one side's flat. You always want to push on the flat side. If you ever come across a Torrington bearing, they use these kind of bearings for a lot of stuff. You can check all the things I did with my boat. I put new Torrington bearings in the outdrive of my boat. And same deal, but the flat side is what you want to press on. You never want to press on the round side. So the round side I'm putting in, and this is what I've been doing with this so far. I've been using this, what is this here? It's an 11/16. I've been using the back side of the socket. I kind of just line this thing up. You want it a little straight, but chances are you're never going to get it perfectly straight, especially with the setup I'm using here. So I'm just putting some pressure on it. Kind of lining it up. So all I'm doing here, let me take the camera here. I got the bearing started and it's sort of a little crooked, but you know, it'll straighten up. You see this tool that I'm using, it's not exactly meant for this at all. So a little crooked. I'm going to run this in very gently. These bearings go in pretty easy, so I'm not going to be putting a lot of pressure on it. There you go. So let me give it a couple cranks here. I wish I had something where I could keep the camera and you could see what I'm doing. But here's one little quarter crank. Another little quarter. There we go. 2 quarter cranks. And it's straightening out. It's going in though. So one more little quarter crank here. There we go. It just like made a noise. It like did a pop, and you see how close it is. It's straight now. The rest of the way it's going to go in straight. So just going to let her go in. Now this whole thing here, this whole thing's crooked. So I'm going to relax. I'm going to pull this out, relax it, reset it, and then I'm going to get it straight again. I think I'm going to put this in here just to ensure that it's straight, and then I'm going to push that bearing flush. I don't want to countersink it because of the way these things are made. And I kind of have this washer like offset a little bit so it can get a lot of meat on it. And I'm just going to twist this thing. I'm just going to crank this in and you'll feel it stop. Or it won't want to go no more. That's it right there. So that's completely flush. That's how you do one side. And that's the round side in. So now I take the trunnion itself. When you put it in, it ejects the bearing keeper. Put this over this over this. Get another bearing, find the flat side. And this goes over that, ejects that out. Put a little tension in there. So I got the washers over here to allow the trunnion to go that way, so it's not binding against that. And I'm basically going to do the same thing with this all over again. This time it has something to ride on to help it straighten out. So as soon as I put pressure on this, it'll walk right into place. This one's trying to flip out of here. This could stand to be a little taller where I could center it. That's the issue I'm having with this thing. I'm just doing this to kind of recenter everything. And there we go. This one's not really wanting to cooperate with me. But you see it's flush, so now if I could get this thing to set up like this. It's still not working right. Use both of these. I think that's what it is. This is getting cocked in there and it's throwing it off. So I'm going to use both of these. And of course drop that on the ground. That looks a little better. It's too low. It's pushing it all up. I need like an actual shop press where I can line everything up. I let my neighbor borrow mine, and for whatever reason he thinks I gave it to him. This fucking thing. Alright, I'm getting impressed. This is bullshit. Fuck this thing. So the things you don't get to see, this is my ball joint press. I literally, about an hour and a half, 2 hour time just passed here. I went to Harbor Freight, was going to buy a press, and when I got there they closed. They closed at 7, I showed up at 7:45. So I came back and I'm like, what can I do? I want to get this done tonight, you know? And this is my ball joint press. Of course, it kept falling over, so I put a pair of sheet metal work vice grips there to keep it from falling over. I need a bench vise is what I really need. So I got, these are just pieces it came with, a little block right here. What I'm doing is I'm going to press the one side in, all of these, because it's set up for that. Then I'm going to flip it around, reset it up, and then press the other side in with the trunnion. So let me do that right quick, and I can get this done. I can move on to the cam bearings. So there it is. We got them all done. That was the whole point of that, to put that keeper on there to keep the bearing from coming out. And the other one limited how far the rocker would go. This one, I mean, you're limited to where the bolt goes here. But we got a little more of a lift, so these can move some more.